but I think we're gonna, yeah.
Active, I think, in the field as well. But one of the things I think I agree with this information was saying.
See you. Thanks for coming. What was it? Adam. Nice to meet you guys.
I did not like going to school. I found it boring. And there's a big part of it that's like, what's the point? My natural interests were tolerated, but definitely not really supported. I got fine grades because it was a thing to do, but for me, academics was pretty much not paying attention until a test came along, and then cramming, getting a fine grade, forgetting everything. And I finished college and I just had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no idea who I was. Then I stumbled into a career in back office compliance, and I really enjoyed it. And so that was where it's like, well, why was I so not interested in working at school, but I love it so much as a job? And it really just came down to that authenticity. Within 5 years, I was the chief operating officer running a company. In 2018, I left that company to start my own company, WeConnect. In 2021, I started another technology company. So I just got exposed in a very raw way to just every aspect of business. So that was a really great experience. I want to be happy in life. How to achieve that? If you can wake up every day and do what you care about with people you like, what you're good at, what you can get paid for, and what adds value to the world. Like that's a great life. For the most part, a college degree is used as a signal of excellence to employers. Why don't we just actually focus more on becoming excellent in the thing that you care about, and then you're going to have an even better chance of getting into the organization you want to join, and the degree will not even be that big of a priority. So that was just where I wanted to create an alternative path that was all about developing excellence from an earlier age. What are you interested in? How can this be applied to doing something meaningful in the world? And can we just be very direct and intentional with our efforts to then allow you to prove your excellence in that? I was working with EWC ISAC to help redesign the leadership program, and basically we redesigned the program to be, let's help you find an interest and do a project on it. I met Kai first in January of 2023, and then we reconnected back in April, and we started the school. So we don't need a big campus. We can work out of a co-working space, and that's actually really positive. We've just been very selective with the students. The main criteria is you have to really, really want this education method. And if you don't, then no problem. We're not trying to be a one-size-fits-all. The reason for this school came from my not great experience with education as a kid, and naturally wanting to change that for others who are like me. From my experience in achieving what I think is a great life goal for myself that also I think applies to many people, and wanting then education not just to be different because I didn't like it, but wanting to be different to better prepare you for that life goal, to have it becoming more meaningful to me when I have my own kids, and wanting to then make sure that they have the best experience possible, and then having that pilot experience at other schools to validate a lot of these ideas. And we started this school once we were incredibly confident that we have something really special, and a high degree of confidence that it would work well. And so far, yeah, it's all gone again better than I could have hoped.
Great. So we'd now like to officially welcome Scott to the stage.
Okay. Welcome everyone to our very first TIF demo day. What a fantastic turnout. Thank you all so much for coming. And what a really fantastic way to conclude our first semester at TIF. So you're going to see a lot of great student presentations shortly. But before that, I'd like to first introduce to you our unique project-based learning method. And so it all starts with our mission. And our mission is to maximize the chance that young people will be happy and successful in life. So how do we define life success? We believe life success is maximizing 5 key areas. Doing what you care about, doing what you are good at, doing what you can get paid for, doing what the world needs, and doing all of that with people you care about. And so everything we do at TIF is to help achieve this personalized to each student. So of those 5 areas, there are 2 that we focus on here. Doing what you care about, which we'll call interest, and doing what the world needs, which we'll call impact. And there's a very special relationship between interest and impact that's important to our mission that I'll explain to you. So this is going to get a little bit academic, so please bear with me. So on the screen, you see a chart. On the x-axis, you have interest, high interest, low interest. On the y-axis, you have impact, high impact, low impact. This green shape represents the boundary of where one could possibly be on this chart. For example, if you had 0 interest in something, there's a limit to how much impact you could possibly make. And this is represented by that green dot. And so the idea is the more someone's interested in something, the more natural motivation they will have. The more natural motivation they have, the more positive impact they can make. The more positive impact they make, the more interesting that thing becomes. So interest leads to impact, leads to more interest, leads to more impact. And this culminates at the point of maximum impact, which is the greatest potential for interest and impact in someone's life. And so helping each student get as close to achieving maximum impact in their lifetime is the goal. Now, at a typical high school, students start, and naturally they've often made no impact yet. They're just 13, 14. But often students don't like going to school, so they start at negative interest. And they graduate high school, and they haven't moved. They still haven't made any impact, and they're still at negative interest. And then at some point, they stumble into a job they don't really care about, work for the weekend, and move up to there. And we'll call this typical life progression. At TIF, we strive for our students to start school at the highest level of interest. And by the time they graduate, for them to have made some degree of positive impact. But more importantly, to have equipped them with the tools and support system to continue to work their way up the curve independently over the course of their life. And we call this the ideal life progression. And you can see they're quite different. And so we actually asked our students to very genuinely let us know how they felt interest-wise about their previous school and about TIF. And the average interest level at their previous schools was negative 74, which honestly even surprised me. And at TIF is 87.2. And so the question is, how do we support the students to work towards maximum impact? And we do that with our unique project-based learning method that we created called the Innovators Framework. And it's a 5-step iterative cycle. Step 1 is to establish a grand mission. And this usually starts with the statement, I dream of a world where. So I dream of a world where there's no more disease. I dream of a world where we have a civilization on Mars. I dream of a world where everyone has perfect health. There is no grand mission too big. And step 2 is then you identify a frontline company that is on the boundary of working on that mission. So anything worth doing, there are already tons of companies working on that problem, right? We haven't cured cancer yet. We may not do that in any of our lifetimes, but there's a lot of companies on the front lines of innovation working on that. And so the student does deep research to identify the most exciting company to them on the front lines of their mission. And step 3 is we plan a next step project. We want to help the students to work towards the front lines. And there's no shortcut. It's a step-by-step process. And so we work collaboratively with the students to design the most effective and accessible project to start working in that direction. And step 4 is you do the project. And usually these projects will take about 1 to 2 months. Step 5, you reflect. You had all these hypotheses about the most exciting mission, the most exciting frontline company. But now that you've actually started doing it, you have more information. Did I like it? Did I not like it? Why? And so what happens is when the student gets to the end of the cycle, there's 2 paths forward. One is that you pivot. With this new information, you realize, actually, this is not as exciting as I thought it would be. And you start the cycle over again, but maybe now you have a new mission or a new frontline target company. You can make a different decision now with the information you got through doing. The other path forward is to go deeper. You go, yes, I thought this would be really exciting. I did this project. It's a lot of hard work. I'm still excited. I want to go deeper. And so you go through the cycle again, but this time the mission's the same, the frontline target's the same, and now instead of going 0 to 1, you're going 1 to 2. And what's really great is once you go deeper and you establish a foundational expertise, knowledge, skills, and credibility because you've done a cool project, this is where we can start connecting the students with relevant industry experts and mentors. Every adult wants to help young people who are genuinely passionate about the thing they do. The problem with the current system is that we throw students who have no idea what they want to do at busy adults, and those are not so meaningful. So first we have the students validate their interests, and then we can connect them with real-world mentors. And so what happens is over the course of the 4 years at TIF, the students progress on this zigzaggy trial and error process. And what will happen is when you graduate, you'll be able to leave to the next place with purpose. And what happens is when you decide to go where you want to go next, you will have a very high chance to get in because you will have all of the evidence of passion and exceptionalism relative to everyone else who's not working on stuff like this. And so that's, in short, how our project-based method works. And I'm sure you're thinking, this may sound nice, you understand the concept, but we are a school, and what exactly do you do here on a day-to-day basis? So I will now turn it over to Kai, who will introduce a day in the life at TIF. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So I'd like to just talk a little bit about the school life here at TIF. So the Innovation Fellowship is a new international high school for students who want to become successful in life by doing work that is meaningful to them. Our curriculum is completely personalized to each student. They spend about 80% of their time at school focused on meaningful real-world projects, which is what they'll be presenting to you today. and about 20% of the time focus on the essential academic subjects for college, so that 100% of college requirements can be covered and they can be competitive even for the top colleges. So we are an AP school. We follow the US high school curriculum, and all our students will graduate with a familiar GPA-based transcript. We are in talks with the leading accreditation agencies in the US, and we hope to be accredited by next year. This is the absolute earliest we can get accredited because you need to be in operation for a year anyway. Jason will be speaking, our next speaker, Jason, will be speaking more about the college. Cool. So an average day in the life at TAF, we gather here at our co-working campus. And from 8:30 to 8:45, we have a group check-in. From 8:45 to 11:45 is project work. So this is where we will have one-on-one or two-on-one sessions with each student to help guide them on their project. From 11:45 to 1 is lunch. Our students usually go together and eat as a group, or sometimes they might buy food and bring it back here to eat. From 1 to 2:30 is academics. So we use Khan Academy for academics, and we use it in a unique way that our students enjoy. We don't have time to go into detail regarding this during today's presentations, but we're always happy to share more information with any families or those who might be interested. One of the best things about it, though, is that it allows students to progress as fast as they like. So one of our students has actually completed the grade 9 biology course in just 6 weeks, allowing him to advance to a more advanced science course, which would obviously not be possible at other schools. The last hour of the day is an open block. So depending on the day, we may have some group reflections. It may be a PE day, but most days the students continue to work on their projects, or they may do academic catch-up as needed. So that's an average day in the life. After school, there is no homework. So our message to the students is from 8:30 to 3:30, while you're here, we're focused, but after school, the time is all yours. Of course, after school is a time to do extracurriculars if the students and the families desire. And we don't offer extracurriculars as part of the school, but we help facilitate introductions to all kinds of extracurricular activities that are available across Tokyo. And we've been doing that so far, whether it's guitar or dance or tennis lessons. So PE. For PE, we usually, on a Tuesday, we may go to an indoor facility to play some table tennis, or perhaps some rock climbing at an outdoor facility like Miyashita Park here in Shibuya. The goal here is not to do intensive exercise. It's just about moving our bodies and having fun together as a relatively small group right now. Okay. Every Friday, we also host a mini demo day. So this is where our students can present their projects and weekly progress to a special guest from outside of the school. And we've been fortunate to have some really amazing guests so far. Entrepreneurs, educators, technologists, AI and sustainability experts, the list goes on. There are also additional things we engage our students in over the course of a semester. So this semester, our students have all applied to the Young Founders Summit, which is a startup bootcamp in Singapore, consisting of a 5-day bootcamp, 6 months of online mentorship, and grant funding available. 2 of our students were actually selected to join this year's summit. And this is quite amazing because only 10 students were selected from all across Japan. So literally in 2 weeks, they'll be heading to Singapore to join 80 students from across Asia. We've also joined IDEA, which is an online project collaboration platform where our students can interact and exchange ideas with other students in Japan, as well as the United States. We participated in a collaboration pitch event with the American School in Japan, where our students were able to pitch their projects to a professional group of evaluators and panelists. So this was a big challenge for our students, but our students all represented themselves really well, and we are super proud of each and every one of them. So that's been an overview of sort of the daily and sort of semester life at TIF. I'll be now passing the mic to Jason, who is our college and academics advisor at TIF. Jason has a BA, MA, and PhD from Yale, and he's taught over 550 high school, college, and graduate students over the past 7 years at institutions such as Yale, Sarah Lawrence, Waseda, and Turkish Academics. 100% of his counselees have gained admittance to one of their top 3 best fit schools, which is something we really care about, including Yale, Cornell, and UC Berkeley. Okay, so now I'd like to welcome Jason to the stage. Thank you.
Hi everyone, can you hear me in the back?
Yes.
I'm thrilled to be here for the first public demo day for the Innovation Fellowship. I was actually in the school the first week for the first demo day on the Friday back in September. So today I was thrilled to see how the students' projects have come over the course of the first term. So when Kai and Scott first approached me earlier in the year with this very innovative project-based learning model at the heart of TIF, the main question they had for me was how to make this not only legible to universities, but exciting to universities. How will the students at TIF position themselves and lay a strong foundation to be able to get into whatever they eventually identify to be the best fit schools for themselves? Having done that collaborative work with them on the curriculum, observing the school day and speaking one-on-one with the students, I can now say in my professional opinion with full confidence that for the kind of student who's going to thrive at TIF, who likes interdisciplinary projects and project-based learning and experiential learning, this is really the most ideal learning environment for that kind of student to lay a strong foundation for their college applications. And today I want to talk you through my thought process when approaching this project. So I'm going to start with my own alma mater, Yale University. And just to go back one slide, when we say best fit, this is oftentimes a sticking point for parents who will come in and they want to focus on rank or they want to focus on brand. For students, ultimately you want the inspiration and authentic interest to come from them, and eventually they're able to articulate what is the school that's the best fit for them, what is the program, and why do they want to be there. So let's start with Yale University, one of the highly selective Ivy League universities in the US. They have a number of pages online articulating what it is that Yale looks for in their admissions process. Now, I know this font is fairly small for folks in the back, so I'm going to read these slides out loud. Many years ago, former Yale president Kingman Brewster wrote that selecting future Yale students was a combination of looking for those who would make the most of the extraordinary resources assembled here, those with a zest to stretch the limits of their talents, and those with an outstanding public motivation. In other words, applicants with a concern for something larger than themselves. Now, this is not unique to Yale University. Many selective and highly selective universities in the US, in other regions, including Canada, English medium programs in Tokyo, these are the through lines throughout their application process of the kinds of students they're looking for. And especially this last point, applicants with a concern for something larger than themselves. And that's really where the TIF model begins. Students identifying a grand mission, taking what they're learning in the classroom and applying it to real world settings, and then doing next step projects. Not only is an exercise in articulating what is the grander project they want to further and be a part of, but also building demonstrated evidence throughout their high school career of the projects and research outputs that they're creating in order to approach the front lines in whatever field or mission or industry they eventually want to end up in, and using school and experiential learning as a means to eventually arrive there when they begin to work after school. So that's for highly selective universities, but I want to talk about a few different kinds of schools. So let's talk about Babson. So Babson is a small liberal arts college in the US, and its pedagogical model is based mostly in entrepreneurship and business, which I imagine may be of interest to several TIF students given their inclinations. When students in high school apply to college, One of the most important things in the application process is the supplemental school-specific essay. You can actually look at the common data sets that are published by universities, and they will rank of all the different parts of the application, what is very important, considered, and not considered. And supplemental essays are almost always very important, in part because schools are very concerned about yields. They want to know not only is the student outstanding, but the student is very serious about going to this school. So Babson asked a why this school, why this program question. This is common to a lot of universities. The Babson education prepares students for all types of careers across business, entrepreneurship, social innovation, and more. Tell us about your interest in this area of study and in Babson specifically. This year, I have worked one-on-one with several hundred students who are applying to university. And let me tell you, for students who are working within a traditional academic framework in their senior year, this is very hard to articulate, especially if they're trying to articulate it for 8 to 12 distinct schools and programs, because they haven't been doing this kind of reflection and intentional real-world research throughout their high school. Whereas for students who are learning within the Innovators framework, this is what they're doing from the very beginning, day in and day out, and especially that piece of the puzzle that's reflection and pivoting and going deeper. That's exactly the kind of work that is necessary in order to be able to confidently answer this question, but then point back at your academic record and portfolio from high school and say, not only am I convincing and telling you this now, school and program, but I've actually been working toward this for the last 3 or 4 years. Now, tuition has become insane in the US, right? So increasingly, and especially since the pandemic, English medium schools in Japan are very attractive to families with students in international school. I put on the screen the prompt from Todai Peak. This is especially an exciting program for students who are interested in environmental science or Japan studies. Now, Todai Peak likes to torture its applicants during the application process, much like AU Chicago, by giving them unconventional prompts for their supplemental essays. And I oftentimes talk about these prompts as creative writing meets real-world issues. The students need to do essentially a creative writing exercise, but one that shows that throughout high school, they've actually been thinking a lot about what's going on in the world outside of their high school. So this year, Todai Peak has asked applicants to write to this prompt. Please demonstrate that you are not an AI. Did anyone have to write an essay like this when you were applying to college? It's cruel, right? Maybe some U Chicago alums are in the audience. For a TIF student, this is their bread and butter, right? Because they're thinking every day about real world issues, but they're also interfacing with industry leaders from a variety of industries, including tech and entrepreneurship. Now, finally, I want to call attention to Carnegie Mellon's main prompt from this year, which is the how will you achieve your goals style of prompt. So increasingly, schools are looking to applicants to see if in interviews and videos and essays, they can actually articulate what they want to do with their college experience. So Carnegie Mellon asked, and this is the school that's very exciting for students who are interested in a variety of majors, chemistry, performing arts, computer science. Many Carnegie Mellon students pursue college for a specific degree, career opportunity, or personal goal. Whichever it may be, learning will be critical to achieve your ultimate goal. As you think ahead to the process of learning during your college years, how will you define a successful college experience? The key to answering this question well and authentically is if you are the driver of your educational experience, what are you going to do with that opportunity? It's no longer dictated to you. You get to decide how are you going to be resourceful? What are you going to study? And what are you going to do with those skills that you're building, right? For a lot of students who have very little flexibility within their high school curriculum, they haven't been asked to answer those questions yet. So answering it to a university interviewer or in the context of an essay can be hard. But for a TIF student who is thriving within the project-based learning model, the whole time they are the driving agent of what they're learning. And it's up to them to connect their interdisciplinary projects and the various fields that they're studying to the project outcomes and real-world issues that they're working toward. So I have a feeling that of all the kinds of questions and prompts that I've talked about so far, this one is usually the most difficult for students who are in traditional learning environments at international schools, but I imagine it will actually be the easiest for a TIF student, not only to articulate and explain, but also to demonstrate through their various project outcomes. So with that, I'm actually super excited to see the project outcomes from this semester, having seen where they started in the first week. So I think handing it back to Kai and Student Voice would be the next best step.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you, Jason. We will be starting our school presentation soon. But we told you how great we think the school is, but you're probably wondering, what do the students think about it? So we'd like to play a video so you can hear directly from them.
Sandy, give me the truth.
Only the truth.
Truth, yeah. What is the truth? What is the truth about this school?
It's amazing. Probably the best school I've ever been to. Yeah, because free to do whatever we want and pursue our passions and have like an actual foundation when we go into the real world.
In the morning, I'm like, oh wait, yes, I got school today, and I feel like that's like something that I want every other student to feel.
It's like personalized to you specifically and trying to help you achieve what you want.
I feel like being able to learn what you're actually interested in, do what you're really passionate about, is one of the best ways to learn, because that way you don't feel like you're forced. It's not, like the saying, it's not work if you love it.
I think when you self-learn, I don't know, you feel more focused in a way.
Coaches are super helpful.
They give the tool for us. In future, we'll use that tool and be successful.
I definitely would not have made this much progress without them.
Of course, there's rules, and it's all very driven in a way. Also, I like the coaches, how they support me.
My mentors or coaches are constantly trying to improve the experience here.
We can say our opinion and they will listen to us.
The teachers are really nice, and I just, I have more motivation here, and I just feel better here, where I belong,
They guide me to be successful.
You learn stuff, but you can also do something that you feel proud of at the end of the day, so it's really cool.
This school doesn't have homework, at all.
The idea is that from the start of the school day to the end of the school days, that's when we're focused and that's where we do all the work. And after that, the time is ours.
Usually when I'm in a normal school, I think, I hate school, But here, I think it's more fun.
I think it's fated that I found this place.
It's just a really great learning experience overall.
I feel excited coming here. I feel driven to coming here. Yeah.
I really enjoy this school.
Okay, great. So that was the truth and only the truth. We will be now starting our student presentations that I know you've all been waiting for. While the first student is getting set up, for those who'd like to ask questions or have any feedback for us about the school presentation so far, please do so. Again, this will be helpful for us, and for those who have questions, we will respond to you and follow up with you. Okay, so please just give us a minute while the next student gets set up. Thank you so much. So we will be starting our next session soon. I hope everyone people who've had questions or feedback for us about the school presentations, hope you've been able to do that. Obviously, each of our students would appreciate your questions and feedback as well. So I think if you're on the app, you'll see there's Andy's presentation. So please enjoy the presentation while it's happening, and you can share your questions and comments after. You ready, Sue? Okay. So our first student to the stage is Andy. Andy is 13 years old and currently a grade 9 student at TAF. Please everyone, can you give a warm round of applause to welcome Andy to the stage.
Hello everybody, my name is Andy and this is my project. But before we begin, this is actually the first time I've presented to such a large crowd, so I'm pretty nervous, but thankfully I have a friend here to help me with that. And his name is Alex. Hey Alex. Hey Alex.
Hello.
How are you today?
Hello. I'm an AI, so I don't have feelings, but I'm here and ready to assist you. How can I help you today?
It's a pretty nice day today. How's the weather in Tokyo?
The current weather condition is clear sky and the temperature is 13 degrees.
Thank you. I'm about to do a really big presentation in front of a large audience. Do you have any words of advice in 2 sentences?
Of course. Remember to breathe deeply and speak slowly to maintain a calm and confident demeanor. And most importantly, believe in yourself and your abilities. You've got this. Good luck with your presentation.
Thank you. Goodbye.
You're welcome. If you have any more questions in the future, feel free to ask. Goodbye and have a great day.
So, what you just saw was Alex, my simple assistant. And I made Alex using Azure Cognitive Services for the text-to-speech, Microsoft Logic apps, which I use for the external weather integrations, and ChatGPT, which helped me build and power this assistant. And I created Alex to solve the problem of voice assistants being either too expensive or low quality. As you can see in this graph here, I have plotted some of the available voice assistants on the market right now. So something like Josh.ai might be more expensive and high quality, while something like Cortana might be more low quality and affordable. And I wanted Alex to occupy the top right corner of this graph of being both high quality and affordable. But although this was an interesting first project, I quickly realized that this didn't relate to me that much and it did not feel authentic to me because I couldn't imagine myself actually using this product. So I decided to pivot to another project. And for my next project, I wanted it to be A, related to Alex, and B, it would solve a problem that I actually encounter every day. So I actually moved to Japan a few months ago, and having no knowledge of the country or the language, I had lots of difficulty getting around. So I was faced with 2 options, either to grind the Duolingo course, which was slow and time consuming, or use one of the various translation softwares like Microsoft Translate, Google Translate, and Pocket Talk. But this was not ideal because of this. You need to pass the phone to the other person back and forth, and this would make the conversation both slow and unnatural. And that's why I actually haven't used the translation app ever since I came to Japan. And this is not a unique experience. In fact, over 30 million people experience this every year in Japan alone. So, is there something better? Yes, there is, but only in science fiction. For example, the Babelfish from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is something you insert into your ear, and then it will translate any known language. So that's what the kind of level of translation I'm trying to work towards, but without needing to stick this into your ear. So my first step to that is to learn how to create a basic prototype of an iOS app that is similar to Google Translate. So without further ado, let's take a look at what I have already, shall we? So this is a recording of my app being run in a simulator. So on the bottom, you can see the language toggles, English and Japanese, to switch between the input language. And for this one, we're going to choose English. It says tap here. So if we tap there and we want to know where the nearest train station is, and if we type that in on top, the Japanese translation will appear on the bottom and will keep updating in real time as more context is added. And again, this is a very rudimentary prototype, so it only does just regular translation, but I am adding in more features such as speech recognition and auto detection. And I've actually made this app using the coding language Swift, using the platform Xcode, which is what you use to code an iOS app, as well as Azure Translator to power the actual translation functionality of this app. And I believe that there are two things that make a good translation device. Number one is being able to understand what the other person is saying, which is fairly straightforward. And second, which is the other person being able to understand what you're saying, which is more challenging to do naturally. So my next step is to remove the need to pass the device to the other person back and forth, which would streamline the process a lot. And one idea of how to achieve this is with AR glasses, like these. So you can see the translated text being projected inside the glasses, and there's also a microphone to record your speech. And you would hand the phone to the other person, and they would be able to talk into the phone, and they would also be able to read the translated text. But this is still not ideal, so I will keep working towards trying to remove the need to hand the phone over to the other person altogether. Thank you for listening, and I hope in the future, Babelfish can become a reality.
Okay, great job, Andy. While our next student is getting set up, again, if you have any questions for Andy or feedback for him, I think as you can tell, they've been working really hard, so I know they'd appreciate even some kudos or maybe have questions and they will follow up. Great, thanks, Andy. Good job.
Hi, I'm Toki, and I'll be talking about my project Entity today. But before I do, I would like to talk about my mission. I dream of a world where people can do what they love for work. And I feel that today, many people end up in jobs that they don't care about and can only spend time on their true interests in their free time. This is especially true for short filmmakers. Despite spending many hours creating amazing short films, their work often doesn't get a lot of attention. Just take a look at this. These films only have a couple hundred likes on YouTube, yet they're so well made. Having made and edited videos myself, I know how much effort it takes to make these films. And that's why I want to help filmmakers make more money from their work. There are existing companies already on the front lines of overcoming this problem, such as Shortverse. Shortverse is free and has tons of great films, but it isn't curated, meaning it can't ensure quality. Vimeo. Vimeo is free for viewers and it has amazing quality films, but the website design is not the best, and you also have to pay to post your film as a creator. And that's why I created Entity, a platform spotlighting great short films, prioritizing lesser-known talents so they hopefully can get the attention they deserve. Entity is also a place for those who enjoy quality short films, which can be hard to find on platforms like YouTube because of how the algorithm works. I currently have 35 films on the website, and with that said, let's take a look. So this is the actual Entity website, and the photo and or video that you see in the background is a preview of the weekly recommended film, and as the name suggests, it gets changed every week. You can also click onto the More Info button, which will take you to a pop-up giving you additional information about the film, such as the cast list and the description. You can also scroll down to look for other films that you'd like to see. And as you can see, the films are all divided into genres. And you can go to those specific genres by clicking the button in the top menu bar. So if I click animated, it will take me to the animated section. You can also click the entity logo, which will take you to the top of the page. And you can also scroll horizontally to look for films that you'd like to see. With that said, let's actually take a look at one of the films. So when I click onto a film, in this case, Redemption, it will take me directly to the creator's YouTube channel. This is to promote the creator's work. So I'm going to be showing you a 10-second clip of Redemption, which is the film that is on the website. So, actually, believe it or not, all of this is all animated and it is not live action whatsoever. The reason I showed you this is because I wanted you to get an idea of the types of films that are going to be on the website. And I also made a mobile version of the website. And on the mobile version, you can scroll to the film that you like to see. And when you click on the film, it will take you to a designated page for that film. The page will include the description of the film, the cast list, and the ability to go onto the creator's profile just by clicking the creator's name. In this case, Jack Anderson. The creator profile has 3 things. One is the personal information about the creator. Second is the biography of the creator. And the third is an external link that's going to be connected to either the creator's website, social media, or etc. You can also watch the film directly from the website through a media player. And just like on the desktop version, the media players will still help creators gain view counts. My next step is to reach out to the creators and to get feedback about my website from the perspective of a creator. The responses that I get from them will dictate my next step. And here is an example of an email that I wrote to one of the creators. Please feel free to scan the QR code or go to entitydynamic.com to check out the website. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you guys very soon. Thank you.
Yeah, you can, Koki's Entity mobile version is live, so entitydynamic.com, and you can start watching your favorite short films, even on the way back on the train. Okay, great. Our next student will be getting set up, so please give us some time. Thank you. Great job. All right, so our next student is Tien An. An recently turned 15 and is also a grade 9 student at TIF. Please, everyone, give a warm round of applause to Anne. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anne, and this is my project, Teen Girl. I dream of a world where everyone can enjoy what they want in their free time. Because many people have hard time finding places to go when they have free time. I also have the experience that it normally takes me 30 minutes to find places to eat or hang out with my friends. My friends also agree. They say it's pain to try and find the good places and they don't know what the best options are. There are lots of websites to help people find where to go, such as this website, Fantasia. It has good pictures and good design of a website. But it doesn't focus on teenagers and it is only in Japanese and doesn't post blogs regularly. This website, Unigirl, also only focuses on university students, so it is expensive for middle and high school students. So I made Teen Girl, a website about cafe and restaurant around Shibuya and Harajuku for teenage girls in Japanese and English. And this is my website. You can change the language here. Now I have the blogs about restaurants, cafes, sweets, and events. For example, this blog is about 7 recommended street food and sweets for Takeshita Street. You can see photos, descriptions, and if you're interested, you can click here to go to Google Maps. And if you have any feedback or questions, you can comment here. To monetize this, I'm thinking of different methods. For example, Google AdSense, which pays me based on the number of times the ads on my website clicked or displayed. I'm also interested in affiliate marketing, where I promote products or services on my website and receive commission based on user clicks or purchases. But these two need users. So I work on SEO. To do SEO, I post content regularly and use high search volume keywords in my blog titles. I also made the flyers and introduced my website to schools. I went to the Naganuma School, Tokyo Ikuei Japanese School, Koto Japanese Academy, and Tokyo Inter High School. I present to students and went to eat lunch at the restaurant I recommended in my blog. And I also made new blog about this. I also made English and Japanese Instagram account because many teenagers search for places to hang out on Instagram. So Instagram is a good way to advertise our website. For my next step project, I'll research how to gain followers and market better on Instagram. If you're interested in Tinger, please message me on Tinger's Instagram. We could go to nice places and take pictures to write blogs for Tinger. And this is QR code of my website and Instagram. Thank you.
All right, great job, Anne. Yeah, everyone, please feel free to scan the QR codes. Anne has been really brave to actually leave our sort of innovation hub here to actually go visit schools and meet other students on her own. So if you have any ideas or feedback for her for how she can even spread the Tingo community, that would be great. Okay, so we will now get set up with the next student. Okay, cool. Okay, so we only have 2 more presentations left, so the day will go by quick. Our next student to the stage is Misha. Misha actually joined our school halfway through the first semester, so he's the newest student to join TIF, but he's been an amazing addition to the group and brings such great energy. So yeah, Misha has recently turned 16 and he's currently a grade 10 student at TIF. Please everyone, welcome Misha to the stage.
Hi, my name is Misha, and today I'll be presenting. So, I dream of a world where things can be instantly teleported anywhere. I'm interested in food teleportation. Just imagine if you could snap your fingers and your favorite meal appeared, fresh as you just made it. We're not there yet, but we can cut down delivery time significantly. There are existing companies that try overcoming this problem, such as Flytrex, which is a startup based in America doing on-demand food delivery in 5 states. Over here is a proven food delivery comparison as tested in London, comparing the traditional method, which is a car, against drone delivery. As you can see that drones are twice as fast and cost half as much compared to the traditional method. So I want to start a drone food delivery service in Japan. First, I wanted to ensure that I wouldn't do anything illegal. So I did some research on the laws related to drones. So at the end, I wrote a small research document about drone laws in Tokyo. And also, I realized that starting a drone delivery service in Tokyo would be really, really complicated. As you see in front of you, this is a map of Tokyo with all the red zones, which are the no-fly zones for drones. I also had to determine which drone was the right choice for my needs. So that led me to create a chart comparing 38 different drones. Of course, this is a very, very simplified version of the 38 different drone chart. I use various features such as the flight time, weight, and more. I noticed that drone laws can be quite confusing, so I decided to create a website to make it easier for people to understand and follow these regulations. So let's have a look. Okay, as you see here, this is my website. So as you scroll down, you pass through a drone survey. So this is a step-by-step on what drone to use for drone delivery. So this will help you guide through the best drone for your usage. So let me go through a quick walkthrough of this survey. So it's gonna first ask me, what is my purpose for my purchase? Am I buying a drone for professional purposes? Let us say, yes, I am. Next is going to ask me my stage of service. Am I buying for prototyping or operational? Let us say operational. Next is going to ask my range requirements. Is 10 kilometers enough for my drone delivery service? Let us say, yes, that would be enough. And so the results will be a DJI Matrix 300 RTK and a small description of that drone, why this drone would be perfect for my needs. And if I'm interested how to operate this drone legally, I can click submit. This will tell me how to operate my drone legally. For this scenario, it says I need to apply for a level 4 license to operate this. And I can click here, which is a portal to apply this license. Of course, what I just demoed right now is one of many, many different pathways from the survey. Now let's go back to explore the other sections of the website. As you scroll down, you'll find an introduction to drone laws. Normally, drone laws are very, very complicated and very hard to understand. So I put together a very easy to read drone document on drone laws with a lot of reliable sources, a lot of government reliable sources. And if you scroll a bit further down, you have a drone chart comparing 38 different drone models. This would be perfect for users who want to see the difference between many drone models and their features. And finally, if you have any questions, you can contact me, or you can ask an FAQ on the bottom left. For example, can a tourist fly drones in Tokyo? And I'll give a small brief example. So that's a small brief on my website. Now let's go back to the presentation. So where am I now? So I'm going to brainstorm with my coaches about what steps to take next, given how strict all the drone laws are here. So thank you for listening.
Alright, great job, Misha. Again, any questions, feedback from Misha, we will be able to respond to you. Our final student is getting ready for his presentation, so please give us a minute.
Hello, I am Xu. Oh yeah. Sorry, apologies.
So yeah, our next student, Xu, as you just said, he is 16 and he's a grade 10 student at TIF. Please everyone welcome Xu to the stage.
Hello, as Kai introduced, I am Xu, and this will be an introduction of my project, Kinship. Okay, so my grand vision is, I dream of a world where everyone is able to improve the world as much as possible by doing the thing that is most interesting to them. And I believe that this is only achievable when people work in collaboration. But the problem is, it's incredibly difficult to find the best fit people to work with. And there are existing companies that try tackling this problem, such as Y Combinator with their co-founder matching platform, where people can find the best co-founders to build a business together. And although students can make an account, and it's a very convenient tool for adults looking to start a business, it's just not suitable for young people finding project partners. Another is IDEA, which is a platform that actually focuses on students, and they are a platform for students to present their projects on impactful challenges and hopefully receive feedback from the others on the platform. And that's very in line with what I'm doing. And it's very versatile on that front, but it's just that there isn't a convenient way for students to directly reach out to one another, making the student-to-student collaboration difficult, which is the main thing that I'm focusing on, which is why I'm creating Kinship, a matchmaking app for students to find like-minded students with good compatibility and complementary skills to collaborate on projects together. And I also added a feature where adults with experience in certain fields can be reached out to and help projects as a mentor if they find it interesting. So it's not definite that they will respond. It's just an opportunity given to the students. And also, to ensure security, the account will be made by me and given to the user to log into. Currently, we have a functioning version published to a progressive web app, which I will be demoing right now. Okay, let me log in. So this is my profile, and in a profile, there are these fields that are supposed to aid in indicating whether we want to work with someone or not. So these fields are my basic info, what I'm working on, my past accomplishments, and my partner preferences. So everyone has these profiles. If we go onto the profile tab right here, we can see other people's profiles. So for example, this person, I could read through his basic info and all of his other fields and decide whether I want to skip, favorite, or reach out to them. So if I read through all of this and decide maybe we won't make a good team, I won't work very well with this person, I could click skip. And the next profile will show up. So again, the same process, we read through all of this and we'll know whether we want to skip, favorite, or reach out. So maybe I read through all of this and I think we will make a good team. I could press reach out and it will open up a mailing page for me to actually reach out to them. And another option is if we read through all of this and we are interested in this person, but we're not quite ready just yet to reach out yet, we can click favorite, to which the next profile will show up. And basically we just go through all the profiles, and if we want to get back to the person, we come here to the favorites tab, and we can find him over to here and reach out then. And as for the mentors, all of this works the exact same way. You can find the mentors over here in the mentors tab. And basically they have all the same fields over here and all the same action buttons. So what I'm trying to achieve from all of this is for students to be able to find the perfect person to work on projects that they are passionate about. And for people that manage to get a reply from the mentors, I hope for their potential to be unleashed through the guidance that they get. So back to my presentation. The next step for me, which I've already started on, is sending out emails to potential mentors and students from project-based schools to garner a user base. Currently, I've reached out to a connection I have in UWC Isaac, who was already on Kinship, and hopefully have their surrounding peers also get on it if they're interested. Another is a student at Norview Park, which is actually a school in the Czech Republic. So they actually reached out about a project that they're working on, and it's somewhat related to mine. So I'm hoping for us to connect. Currently, we have 11 students and 6 mentors, which isn't a lot since we have just started the process of reaching out to people, but we're hoping to have way more in the near future. And these are some reasons that make me optimistic about Kinship's success. First thing, I am a student, which means I am surrounded by potential users of my product. So I am able to constantly receive feedback and make improvements upon it. I actually surveyed TIF students, so my classmates, whether they wish they had the people with the right skill set and resolution to work with, and these are the results, 100%. I work on this app for the majority of my day, and I'm guided by knowledgeable mentors. And finally, there's a growing amount of schools that support students to work on entrepreneurial projects. So I'm hoping for the students to be able to unleash their innovative potential through connecting with others via my app. So if this interests you, please request access through this QR code. Thank you.
so we hope you enjoyed all the student presentations. That's a wrap. So we're nearing the end of today's event. Just quickly, for those who'd like to stay up to date with what we're doing, please follow us on LinkedIn. This is where we do our most regular updates. And for any families who may be interested in applying to TIF, please check out the admissions page on our website. And please feel free to contact us anytime. So, yeah, thank you so much again for being here today. We're again near the closure of the event, but the venue will be open till 4 p.m. So please feel free to stay, say hello to the other guests, maybe say hello to our students. We'd really appreciate that. So just to say a few final words now, I'd like to pass the mic to Scott. Thank you so much.
Great. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming. What a fantastic event. The first one. I think all the students did a fantastic job. They were really, really nervous leading up to today, but all of their preparation really showed by how smooth they were able to do their presentations. But yeah, again, as Kai mentioned, thank you so much for coming. Thank you all for your support. This is really just the beginning. We'll have more of these events. And the best is yet to come. So we hope to see you again in the near future. Thank you.